Billionaire father sees. Black waitress let his disabled. Son leader dance. Step and his life changes. At a glittering gala filled with the wealthiest guests, a billionaire father sat stone-faced, his son quiet beside him. No one ever paid attention to the boy, not with his awkward steps and trembling movements. But then as the music swelled, a young black waitress in a crisp white uniform stepped onto the dance floor, smiling warmly at him. She extended her hand not to serve, but to dance. What happened next silenced the entire ballroom, left the father speechless, and would change the course of his life forever. But it all began with a single, unexpected dance step. The night had been planned to perfection. Crystal chandeliers sparkled, violins played, and servers glided between tables with trays of champagne and delicacies. Among the guests was one of the most powerful men in the country, a billionaire father, known for his ruthless business deals and cold demeanor. Seated at his side was his only child, a young boy with pale blonde hair and an uncertain smile. The boy had lived with a condition since birth, one that made his movements slow and unsteady. Though he longed to join the laughter and dancing of other children, fear of stumbling and the quiet judgment of others kept him rooted to his chair. His father, focused on appearances and reputation, often kept him hidden, embarrassed by what others might whisper about him. The boy's world was small, built of quiet corners and longing glances. But on that night, something shifted. Working the event was a black waitress named Alana. She was young, graceful, and carried herself with a confidence that drew attention without her even trying. She moved from table to table, pouring drinks, offering smiles, yet always noticing more than others realized. When her eyes fell on the boy sitting alone, shoulders drooped, she saw not a weakness but a soul aching to be free, if only for a moment. And as the music swelled to a rhythm too joyful to ignore, she made a choice that would ripple far beyond that evening. A choice to see him, to invite him into the dance of life. The orchestra struck a lively tune, and laughter filled the hall as couples twirled across the dance floor. Alana, tray in hand, slipped past polished shoes and trailing gowns, but her gaze kept drifting back to the boy. His fingers tapped nervously against the table, keeping time with the music. She noticed how his eyes lit up, how badly he wanted to move with them, but his legs betrayed him, stiff and uncertain. Then it happened, a small stumble as he tried to stand. Quickly met with a disapproving glance from his father. The boy sank back down, cheeks flushed red. The billionaire's lips tightened. Appearances mattered more than his son's dreams, but Alana could no longer stay silent. She set her tray down, smoothed her uniform, and walked directly to the boy. Gasps whispered around the room. A waitress? Approaching the billionaire's son. She bent slightly, offering her hand with a gentle smile. Would you like to dance? Her words were not spoken aloud, but carried in the warmth of her expression. For a moment, the boy froze. Then, slowly, he reached out. A hush fell as Alana led him to the floor. She didn't take control. Instead, she let him place one uncertain step forward, then another guiding the rhythm. The crowd stared, expecting failure. But Alana clapped softly, nodding, letting him lead. His steps were wobbly, awkward, but they were his. Something miraculous happened. His back straightened. His face lit up, and for the first time, he was not defined by his disability, but by his courage. The billionaire father watched, heart pounding as his son commanded the floor. Guests leaned in, captivated, as the waitress spun around him with elegance, amplifying his every move. And as the boy stumbled, she turned it into a flourish, making the crowd cheer instead of judge. Slowly, the ballroom that had been filled with silent prejudice erupted into applause. Yet at the head table, the billionaire's world was crumbling. For years he had hidden his son, ashamed of him. Now, with one act of kindness, a stranger had shown him everything he failed to see. The boy raised his trembling arm, and Alana twirled beneath it, as though his movement alone commanded grace. The room erupted into laughter and clapping, not mockery, but joy. The boy's grin stretched wide, brighter than any chandelier above. The billionaire stood, but for once not in control. He felt something he hadn't in years, tears burning his eyes. His son wasn't broken. His son was extraordinary. Every pair of eyes was fixed on the dance floor. Not on the billionaire's wealth, not on his reputation, but on the boy's courage and the woman who gave him wings. The father felt the weight of his pride shatter. All the money in the world hadn't bought his child this moment. It had been a gift from someone society often overlooked. As the music faded, the boy finished with a small bow. The ballroom roared. He looked toward his father, chest heaving, waiting. Would he see disappointment again? Instead, the billionaire walked forward. His hands shook as he knelt beside his son, whispering words no one heard but everyone felt. For the first time, the man who conquered empires bowed to his own child. The night ended not with more business deals or empty chatter, but with a shift that reached the deepest parts of one man's soul. The billionaire knew he could never look at his son, or the world in the same way again. The waitress, Alana, returned quietly to her duties. But something in the air had changed. Guests approached her, some offering thanks, others awkward in their silence, aware they had witnessed something greater than wealth or status. The billionaire found her before she left. There were no grand speeches, no dramatic promises, just eyes that, for the first time, carried humility. "You showed me my son," he admitted, "and in doing so, you showed me myself." From that day forward, whispers spread not of the billionaire's fortune, but of his transformation. He began to step back from deals that crushed others, instead pouring resources into foundations for children with disabilities. Schools were built, programs funded, lives touched, all because one waitress had dared to let his son lead a dance. But perhaps the greatest change was at home. The boy was no longer hidden. He became the heart of his father's world, celebrated not despite his disability, but because of the resilience it revealed. And Alana? She continued her life with quiet dignity, never claiming the spotlight, but knowing she had changed the course of history for one family. So when you hear stories of wealth and power, ask yourself, what truly changes the world? The weight of money, or the courage of a single act of kindness? Because sometimes the greatest riches are found not in fortune, but in the humanity we dare to share.